focus
So I know
on
the last time
rural
there was
areas
somebody
or urban areas or
I just called you. Okay, did you?
Lots of things going on. Share my hair.
I was supposed to call yesterday. I'm still trying to get my phone and computer working.
So do you have
Alright, thanks.
project funding deadlines? One a year or is it on continuous submission?
Sometimes the federal grants, you just keep going them a little bit. But for the feds, like the hazard mitigation, that's through FEMA, through the state of Michigan, that can roll over.
That's why.
And then for the US Department of every 3 years we get a large grant. We have to manage. The rest all.
I was just wondering if,
Good morning. Would you please stand for the pledge? And I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We call the roll call.
Commissioner Hinman?
Present.
Commissioner Walters?
Present.
Commissioner Altman?
Present.
Commissioner Smith? Present. Commissioner Herschel?
Here. And any corrections or additions to the consent agenda? So we need to accept that.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as printed.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a chance to look at the minutes from January 13th, 2015. Approve the minutes for
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
support. Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reading the cash balances.
Yes, we, in the general fund, we have $314,160.85. In the unallocated cash balance is $564,785.73. That's a total of $878,946.58, and before the bills, of course.
Good morning. Sue Fortune,
Yes.
you're up.
Shall I come
Yes,
forward?
you're good.
Come forward?
And we have other people here too from the recreation plan we're talking about, so
Oh.
maybe we can get some input from them too.
Ooh, this is low.
Will you
Like
take,
you and.
tell everybody what MCOG stands for?
Sure. For those of you who do not know, we are Sue Fortune. I'm the Executive Director of the Council of Governments in Saginaw. We're based in Saginaw. And we are the Federal Economic Development District for 14 counties, the Regional Prosperity Collaborative for 8 counties. So we were originally the East Central Michigan Planning and Development Regional Commission, and then in 2006, we changed bylaws, structure, et cetera, to comply with the feds because they are our host. So that's what we are. And I was very graciously invited to come up here by the chair to talk about what we are doing, and apparently to talk about recreation plan, which I had. I don't have a lot of information for you, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. But I wanted you to be aware of the things that we're working on that will be of impact to York County as part of your membership. We do pay an annual appropriation. That annual appropriation is used to assist in matching the federal Economic Development District grant that we receive for the 14 counties. In addition to, we have other funds as well. But I especially wanted you to be aware of ideas for 2015 that we are going to be implementing that do have impacts for you. We do receive funding from the Michigan Department of Transportation in multiple areas. And that currently, ironically enough, is probably one of our largest funders, is MDOT. We do an awful lot of things for the department at their request, and not all of it is easy, I can assure you. Not all of it is easy at all. I do have a staff, currently of 5, and we do cover the entire 14 counties, which is 8,497 square miles. So we do try to get out. I don't get to come up as often as I would like. I was just speaking to the gracious gentleman in the back that I love to come here, but I don't get to come enough. So, but we are responsible for executing the asset management program for the department, and my staff go out as part of a 3-person team, and they rate these roads. And I can tell you from the trip in that the roads need work everywhere. My goodness. And how those roads are rated are then used by your local road commissions to prioritize where they spend their money, and where the state uses that same priority to ostensibly prioritize where they spend their money. It is a very, very big task, but it has been very, very interesting. There is money available for local units of government to do local asset management plans if you want them done. That would be like on a city or a village level. And I would encourage you to talk to my staff if you have interest in that. We are also charged with managing the rural task forces in the, within the region. You are a member of the 7C task force, and my staff manages that task force. There is a chair and a vice chair, obviously, within, internally on the task force, but we are also in charge of managing the spreadsheet on how those funds look when they go down to the department for fund prioritization, obligation, I believe is the term. And we are the Federal Economic Development District, and we're charged by the feds to produce a large document every 5 years with annual updates every year. And in that, your projects, if you have projects that you want listed, are listed for potential funding. This document is no longer just used by the U.S. Department of Commerce. It is also used by USDA to determine if there are potentially fundable projects within that. I've got a great staff person handling that if you ever choose and want to call. Currently, we're doing 5 hazard mitigation plan updates, and Gladwin's is one of them. My staff person is working with your EMS manager, coordinator, and this is very critical, because if you don't have a hazard mitigation plan that's up to date, you potentially are not able to apply for mitigation funding if you have a problem. So it is very, very, very important. And this brings you up to date. Didn't cost the county any money other than just a little bit of in-kind, no out-of-pocket expense. We have received a grant to do that. So that's a real win for you. We do some local technical assistance. I haven't had time, our staff, to do that in the last year, because we were also notified that we were to be the convener of the Regional Prosperity Initiative, which is a big deal for the governor. And we received funding, although we received it late and at a lesser amount than some of the original regions, but we did complete a plan for the 8 counties, and I didn't bring a copy of it. It is big, but I would be so happy to provide that plan to whomever you would like to have it, because it is a real roadmap for going forward. And we interviewed our consultants based out of Texas that came up. They interviewed over 300 people in the 8 counties. to get their sense of what was going on, where they'd like to go, what they saw as problems, the challenges, whatever. And the key part of the Prosperity Initiative is that it requires that economic development, adult ed, higher ed, transportation, and workforce development must participate collaboratively in developing the plan, which is a first, quite frankly. So it really does reflect a very broad thing. Jane Fitzpatrick of my staff is the project manager for that. We did apply for second-year funding to move some of the stuff forward that was identified as part of your group. You guys were very well represented. Scott Govitz, there were Bob Walzer. You guys had terrific representation on that RPI collaborative, so that was really. I have a list of all the folks if you'd like to see it. And as I said, we applied for second-year funding. We don't know yet whether we'll get it. We may not get as much as we applied for, but they said apply up to a certain amount, so we went with that. But we are expecting that the governor will probably issue an executive, or not an order, but a directive changing the regional planning agency boundaries to conform to the prosperity region. The federal boundary will not change, so we'll still be responsible for 14 counties under that, but I do expect that the regional prosperity or regional commission's boundaries are going to change to 10. So and we are following all of the legislation. That includes the transportation proposal, which if the vote was taken today, would fail. So there will be, you can expect the potential new boundaries will be. And also I brought the very latest 2015 from Michigan Association of Planning on how your planning commissions are supposed to go together based on 2015 law. And who comprises them, who to contact, whatever. This is literally hot off the press and is very new. So I brought 10 copies of that for anyone who wanted to have that, because it's important that you know how that works. So that's that. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
I called when I talked to you the other day. We talked about planning, and we have a group that's looking at doing our recreation plan.
Okay.
And they will work closely with you to try to generate a plan down the road for a recreation plan.
Do you have another proposal or anything?
We have a proposal.
Oh, all right. Well, I will tell you.
And I know that you were bogged down a little bit, and
Yeah,
so
we are. But also, I don't know, is that proposal from a private consulting firm?
Yeah.
I do have to be careful with that because we can't compete with the private sector per our statute. And I don't know what your internal processes are regarding RFPs, if that's how you achieve your proposals or not. In the past, I don't know that there was an RFP issued, but if you have that process, that would be how you would need to handle that in order to get a proposal from us. So, but yeah, we have done recreations, we've done your recreation plan in the past, but
What's an RFP?
request for proposal.
Thank you.
and we're looking at Don Hamilton. We're trying to do the recreation plan for the health department's adopted to take and go down River Road and along the river and stuff.
Okay.
And they've kind of looked into it and see what they could do, and I'm sure you know Don.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where that's going, and maybe you can enlighten
Sure.
a little bit.
I'd just like to add what Sue was talking about with the SEDS, that's the economic report that they do.
Mhm.
The trail that is in Glavine County is in the plan.
Yeah.
So
It's in the federal.
we've got that in the plan. So just to reiterate kind of what at the last meeting, we started working with the group that had done plans for bicycle and pedestrian pathways. And since the beginning, they've been interested in trying to do a joint plan that would go from Gladwin to Beaverton and then eventually go down to Coleman. So part of this process, once we got going, was to start gaining money to go forward and to put together all of the documents that were necessary for us to go for the major grants. The major grant for this particular thing is the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. It's out of the DNR, and they provide the largest funds for recreation. Your county does well because you have oil and gas, and that money comes from oil and gas leases and sales. And in this process, we're kind of trying to move forward quickly in order to be able to do a grant application this year to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. We've done an amendment to the Beaverton Recreation Plan, and we're working on the Gladwin Recreation Plan right now, City of Gladwin, so that those documents can be ready. We plan to go forward using the city. They have stepped forward for this group, which is, go back. One of the steps we've taken is to form a recreation authority. And that's in the process. So the publication has gone out, and the communities that were interested in doing that passed a resolution to move forward and set that up. That's an independent entity allowed by state statute, and it has taken responsibility for this trail, so that it's not a county project, and it's not an individual township or city project, because it covers a number of the townships. The townships that are presently interested are Buckeye, Tobacco, Grout, and then the two cities of Beaverton and Gladwin. So those are the entities that are forming the authority, and part of, again, going forward to get so that we can apply. We've gotten money from 2 different entities already, or 3 actually, that have come forward to give us money to get going on the trail. And part of the money that was put forward was to get some of these documents in shape. So we're using that to help out with the Beaverton amendments and some of the other work that we need to put together in order to have this. And one of those is, since you represent in your recreation plan the townships, we want to get your plan moving forward. There's not enough time at all to get it done. It's a major rewrite. Most of the work was done back in 2002, 2003 in order to get the recreation plan going. It expired in 2009, so we've had a census since then. We've had a recession since then. There's numerous things that have changed in the area that need to be in that recreation plan. And one of the things that we look at, even though it's not, the requirements for a recreation plan are set by the DNR, that you have the minimum things that have to be included in that recreation plan. And one of the things that we do in addition to it is try to look at what are the economic benefits. In this northern part of the state, we've been both losing population and economic opportunity, especially since the recession. And so we try to look at what sort of things you can use in your communities, and the word now is destination marketing. So you can market your trails, you can market your state forest, you can market all the things that bring people here to spend their money. And it's been one of the things that's happened in the state is actually during the recession, the amount of tourism actually increased. The hotel receipts increased. So it was interesting to see that started to happen after the recession, because everything else went down. You lost population, you lost economic development, and everything else. And so this is, I think, very important, and Don and I have had this conversation, that to try to get people to come here and spend money, and then go home. so you don't have the responsibility of taking care of them or providing services for them, but that's the goal, one of the goals in recreation. You know, of course, the other ones provide recreation for local people, and also if we can, trail activities are so popular now, it's unbelievable. And that's I don't know if you know, but the governor has proclaimed his showcase trail. Doesn't come here, but that he sees that as such an important part of marketing the state and bringing people here, that they proposed a trail all the way from Belle Isle to Ironwood. So that, again, you're not on the trail, but there's that, just knowing that that trail is here and marketing your trail, it will bring people to Gladwin County and help make it more prosperous. So,
And that's why I wanted to make sure that Sue was here, so we could go over some things, and there was a lot of questions, the other commissioners, and I was kind of in the dark too, and I didn't know what was going on. So we thought, well, we'll bring both of you together, that way we kind of know what's going on, and we can move forward, and
Don's not wrong about the importance of trails. It's the new trail, I have a map of the new trail from Belle Isle to Iron Mountain, it's called, and it has been named as of yesterday, the Belle Iron Trail. So that will be the new governor's showcase trail, if you will. And it does take a big veer inland, away from the shore at some point. So at some point, it would not be inconceivable to see either the Pier Marquette and/or a trail developed internally, locally to connect to it. They're very expensive to build, obviously, and equally expensive to maintain in some ways. But the economic benefit is quite astonishing. It really is. So if you have a potential trail development, that is a very significant thing for your area economically.
and that's why we wanted your direction.
Well, I'm taking from Don's comments here that they've raised this money and the city will step up to apply, what, for the trail?
yes,
For the trail grant with MNRPTF, right?
correct.
Okay. Is the part of the money then that has been raised is to do this county-wide recreation plan update?
There's a portion of it that the group, the authority that's being formed, has offered to Terry to offset whatever costs that he would have. So we have, and we also have money that's been offered from Boyce Hydro. And so we have that money, and the proposal that Mr. Moffett put forward was that the county come up with $5,000 to get a brand new plan.
All right, which then added to 5,000 to do this complete rewrite?
8 from Boyce
In concert with
Yes.
these other funds, I see.
Right.
Okay.
So the proposal to the county is basically, if you can come up with 5, you know, that's what Mr. Moffett asked for, then we'll come up with the rest. And that's the offer, I guess, on the table.
I know we need to move forward with this, and it's a very good program. But
Oh.
we didn't know how we were gonna do it until Don brought the program to
Right.
us.
If I'd be so bold as to ask, is the expectation of the group, et cetera, that Lapham would do that?
Yes,
To do
that's the
the
proposal.
plan for the
We've
county?
given them- we've given
Okay,
them the
well
proposal.
then, you know, and that's cool too. I don't have any issue with that. Because if there's a proposal on the table and you've gone through your processes the way you're comfortable with in doing that, then the region, or the Council of Governments, by statute, can't compete with the private sector on this. So that would take us out of the picture in terms of doing the actual plan, especially if they've already have their act together in terms of doing it. It is ultimately your decision.
Is it guideline wise, though?
My records show, I'm gonna have to double check, but I thought your parks plan was a bit older than, or younger, I guess, than 2003, but I.
No, it expired in 2009, so the work that
Oh,
was
it
done
was-
on
oh,
it was
in
2004.
That's
Right.
cool. I would think you're completely consistent with what you should be. The only hiccup I could see to this, because recreation and transportation, they're having these workshops right now, because everything now is online, everything. And that includes plans, all this business. So on how they want to see this go together, the only thing I would wonder is, will they allow you to apply for that money? Well, they might, because those city plans are current.
And the
Now,
part of the trail that we're applying for is city.
okay, well then that might work, and that would then give the county time to have them do your plan and get squared away, because if you're depending on the county plan to float the boat down at trust fund, they might say, well, you're not done. You know, I don't know. That would be,
They wouldn't allow.
they might not allow the application to go in, but if the local plans are current, they probably would accept that, and that would be a big step forward for you. It would also allow time to complete the
I think one of the hiccups is with the DNR, that we don't have a plan for recreation through the state property, correct, Don?
You don't have a county plan.
We don't have a county plan,
Period.
and to access that, we have to have a county plan, correct?
Ultimately, when we go into the townships, your plan has covered the
The
township.
town.
We will need it in order to go into the township.
You don't need it for the state property. The state property is on River Road here.
I think we're confident that we can apply for it through the city. And if your plan is in progress, and we've already done all those pedestrian and bicycle pathway plans, we're confident that they'll accept that application. And with the Recreation Authority, if that is in place, as a matter of fact, we might be able to go in with the Recreation Authority as opposed to the city.
But the end plan will include the state property, correct?
Oh, of course,
It would,
yeah.
And just as a clarification, I guess I'm going to ask Commissioner Bergel on this. We're not considering this our project. This is still the health department project, right?
They have not stepped away from it completely, Laura. That's a good question. In other words, I have a meeting with them tomorrow, and I was going to see if we could go after more HEW funding.
That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to portray to Sue that this, we as Gladwin County are driving this bike path. This is,
Oh, no,
Okay.
I know
Okay.
that, yeah.
all right.
And that's the reason we set up the recreational authority, so that that would be an independent entity.
Okay.
They'll be in charge of putting it in, operation and maintenance. That's the purpose of that.
So they will be in charge of maintenance also? Okay, because that was another question that's been kind of.
They might come to you and ask for money.
Of course.
Well, some places are just at a meeting, well, I was at a meeting last Thursday on the Showcase Trail. A lot of places are basically setting up small endowments that where townships and villages put in small amounts to maintain, or foundations come in and put in an amount of money to maintain these trails. And everybody freaks out about that, and I know that, but the economic payoff in the areas that have actually done far exceeds, everybody hates the upfront cost, but that it does.
I do have a question.
Okay.
What has been done to notify or involve the private property owners that there may be a trail going through their property? It seems, I like this idea of this trail, okay? I think it's a good thing, and I can understand from a healthier point of view, etc. But, I mean, if this trail is going down River Road, it's not going down total state property.
Right.
There's private property,
Yep.
okay? Have private property owners been notified? Have they been invited
Yes.
to, have there been open discussions, etc.?
Mr. Brandon, you might be able to answer that.
To Yvonne, no, they haven't completely. But at the township meetings, we've discussed this. And at the, of course, local gossip has also talked about it. But no, we haven't sent out,
Notices.
yeah, notices to all the landowners that will be affected.
That's the next phase.
Mhm.
You know, this first phase doesn't include private property. It's either city property or state land.
Mhm.
The alternative, in any case, is to use the right-of-way. So one of the members of the group is the road commission. And Dave Petters has been involved since this group started meeting. So and he's on the road commission as well, so.
Yes.
So we're involving those people, and so that's, the alternative is always to use the right-of-way. We'd rather go farther inland so that they're not right on the road, of course. So, and that's our goal all the way along. But that's the next phase is going to go on to private property. As soon as this one's rolling, we'll start those meetings and stuff. This is a major project. It's a very large
Long-term.
project.
Long-term.
So there's no sense, getting there before we get the first phase done.
Well, then, like I say, there was a lot of questions. I talked to Sue on the phone, we talked to you. We wanted some answers, and I thought the best way was to bring both of yous here.
Always happy. You
So we
will
can-
need MDOT involved when you get onto the state land. And there is funding through MDOT for sometimes in some of these funds. And it is a good thing you have a road commission person there, especially if you're gonna run along the right of ways. Even in the discussions on the showcase trail, there was a real aversion to doing it on the right of way because of potential safety issues and whatever. In the cases where they have no other options, they will do that. But if you are going to involve, or it certainly would involve some local, the local folks, it is important that they get the information and they get it correctly. They get the correct information quickly. When this first transition to feeling their way on this, there's a lot more research that's been done on it now, and they're a great thing. But like everything else, everybody needs to be advised at some point.
I personally would just like to see, even at this stage of the game,
Okay.
a much more enlightened offering of information, and because I think if people can feel as though they are involved and buy into it initially, then you can alleviate a lot of the hassles down the road. And I just feel that it has not been well done with the private property owners. And I personally would like to see more of that immediately.
Come again to the meeting, and I'll carry it forward if you don't. So, because I think that that's very important too. I've been involved with trails. I was involved with the Leelanau Trail up north, and most of the opposition in all of these trails, once they're done, it melts. I mean, they find that they're wonderful, but there are some that you're never going to convince, and so.
But we need the majority of the people with us as it's going.
Well, we actually need all of the people that are going to have the property across,
Oh, yeah.
because we either, if we're gonna go on their property, we need an easement or some other means to do it. So I agree. I mean, that's fine. I think that if you'll come to the meeting, I think we got one in February, I think we had one this month already, but please come and,
Another meeting for you, Sherry?
yeah. She's been to them before, that's why I'm inviting her again, so.
So if the property owners don't agree is when you have to go to the right of way by the road?
Yeah.
So if they say absolutely not, then you divert it and do the roadside?
Right.
Gotcha, okay.
So a question from the floor. In your experience with other rail trails, what is the approximate annual maintenance cost? So, for instance, this trail is being proposed from Gladwin to Coleman, if I'm correct, was about a $12 million estimate, rough estimate.
Right.
What would you anticipate the annual maintenance cost to be?
I don't want to state that without getting some
Do you know what
information.
the annual maintenance costs are for the Midland Rail Trail?
I don't know off the top of my head, I'm sorry. I don't, I've got that information, but I don't
We're
recall
looking
it.
for some
Yeah.
enlightenment.
The cost to maintain a trail, a bicycle pathway trail, if it's installed properly, is fairly minimal. So we will, when we do the plan for it, we will estimate what that cost is, and if you give me your, you know, your information so I can contact you, I'll send you the per mile or on whatever basis it is.
And then another question on this recreational authority, which is, you're calling an independent entity. Who are the members the current members on this authority?
The municipalities, City of Gladwin, City of Beaverton, Grout Township, Beaverton, am I saying that? Grout Township, Buckeye Township, and Tobacco.
Okay, and they have all appointed a member.
They're allowed to appoint, I think it's up to 2 members. They'll have 1 member in any case on that board, and the effort is to have an odd number. I don't remember exactly how that is done, but that's the effort. But those municipalities all control that effort.
And then, in your experience,
If there's ever any action that involves borrowing money or bonding or anything like that, all those municipalities have to, by resolution, approve any action of the authority as well. So,
I think you could attend the meetings if you want to.
Sure.
Okay.
one more meeting.
Don, so your association will take and do the recreation
Plan.
plan,
Mhm.
Because they're already doing these others.
and there's no problem with you?
None at all.
Okay. I want to ask that.
One
You'll
last,
probably be calling me for statistics.
That's right.
We'll have a
So-
collaborative effort here.
I want to try to keep moving along, but
Surely, you got to
Real
be
short
attended here.
would you clarify the proposal that is on the table? Is that for Gladwin to Coleman, or is that to prepare a countywide plan?
It's a countywide plan.
You're
It's their,
proposing to-
it's their recreation plan that the prescription, if you will, is done by the DNR. They say, if you want to apply for funds from us, here's a plan that you have to create, here are all the elements that need to be in it. So we follow that and add things that are important. One of the things that Mr. Muller is interested in are the rivers and streams and stuff, how those things could play into the recreation plan, how they could play into the economic development of the county. So that's the additional thing that sometimes we would do
Thank
for a
you,
recreation
and
plan.
to the board for letting me come out. I just wanted you to know that there's a lot of other things we're working on, but.
I didn't want to trap you here.
No,
I
no,
wanna-
I was happy to have.
And I think we're going to meet again here shortly or something.
This afternoon.
You were familiar with that?
No, I didn't hear anything about, I don't know anything about the
If,
afternoon, but.
do the other commissioners have questions yet of Sue?
I just want to make sure I understand now. What we're talking about is the fact that we have time to update our county plan to coincide with this trail. We've got time to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
And like I say, we'll be still calling you and see.
Oh, I hope you do, because that's what we're there for. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, is to call me on anything you have a question on. And you know, I will talk to my MDOT folks, friends, because we do work with them, and I'm gonna find out what they've, in their experience, have found out what the maintenance costs are on some of these trails. I mean, if they have that statistical data, and they very well may.
Thank you.
So I'll be happy, I'll get your card. So,
Because like I say, we know you've been around for a while and
forever. Isn't it dreadful?
thank you. Sue.
I'm a regular fossil.
One question for you, Don.
Yes, sir.
When's the grant due? Are you applying for 2015, or is this going to be 2016 grant?
We're going to apply this year, and we'll probably apply next year. I've waited a little while, and what I'm going to do is go down to the DNR, meet with the representatives for this area, and talk about the trail, the whole trail, and sit and ask them how they recommend that we approach it. Because there is a part of the application when you do it is whether you've had money recently. And so you lose points, if you will, whenever you do that. So that's a discussion I want to have. I'm sure they've done it elsewhere, where they've taken on a project that's multi-year. So I just need to know that from them.
I know this, in the past, the plan has been done for like 3 years or something. So this will be each year?
It's your plan will be a 5-year plan. What Mr. Hinman is talking about is the grant applications for funding. Yeah.
But when is that due?
When is which?
The grant application, when do you have to have that?
April 1st.
April, so then you only have 60 days.
That's right.
It's not a lot of time.
That's what we do.
Okay.
I mean, the hard thing actually has been getting all the documents ready, because a recreation plan by DNR stipulation has to be available for the public to see for 30 days. That's why we couldn't do your plan that fast anyway, because it's old. We've done other ones where it was just an update, but yours is pretty much wholesale rewriting. I mean, the geography hasn't changed, but the social conditions, the economic conditions, demographic things are all different than was in that plan.
Last meeting, we took and tabled that until we had some information. I don't know if everybody's feels good about it now, or what do you want to do? So, is there any recommendations? I think myself, it's a good idea. It's going to bring a lot of things into the county, but also too, it opens up other areas of the county to be used as recreation areas. And it doesn't matter if it's Sugar Springs or Secord Township, it's overall. And we couldn't get the plan done for that ourselves.
It is, at last month's meeting, the question came up by Sharon about 5,000 or no more. One-time contribution.
That's all. That's for the recreation plan. That's it. That's what that was the proposal by Mr. Moffett.
So we're still at that point where either, remember I asked you also to support it by just giving 1,000, but it's really a question of are we with it or?
Yeah, again, that was Bob's proposal.
In for penny,
the
in
5.
for pound.
They would put in 5, you put in 5. That was kind of his thing.
It's just like Cyndi Lauper says, money changes everything. If we have plenty of money, these would be easy.
I understand. That's why I tried to find more money in order to do it.
What's your, want to entertain a motion that we do this?
I'll make the motion that we support the revision of the county's recreation plan by funding it with $5,000, that money only. No further no further financial contributions involved, just that straight 5,000 this year.
And if you would add with no further contribution to the rail trail development.
Okay.
In perpetuity? You mean they can never come back? If I may, I mean, that's kind of a different subject.
They're two different animals, quite frankly. In other words, one's the plan, the other one is the implementation.
Right.
And they're two, they're actually not.
And I think once we get into public hearings and stuff in township, and everybody gets together, I think we'll see where this goes.
The actual bike walk trail, I've been engineered and surveyed down M18, for example.
And not only, like I said earlier, this is not totally about the bike trail. It's a recreation plan for the whole county.
I know I can support the recreation plan.
That's what.
And with my understanding, with the construction of this rail trail authority, the county is not part of it.
Yeah, they've managed to keep us out there. I wonder how they did that.
But see, if they keep us out of it, then that means we're not financially responsible for it either. And I'd like that to be part of
But at this
the minutes
point,
of this meeting.
at this point, you know where all the money is? Christie Van Team's got it.
Christie,
We're the fiduciary at this point.
Okay, but if you make that motion, I will support it.
you have some input before we do
I
this?
just have a question on that. Actually, two questions. You had mentioned that some money has been collected for that already. I'm only aware of one contribution being turned into the county.
The other money went to the city.
And-
Not to the city, but as the fiduciary for that recreation authority.
Okay, but the county is the fiduciary in this plan.
That's,
So that's
yes.
a separate
And
plan then?
that's why Bob proposed to Terry that he would contribute that money to go toward it.
I don't think you can do that.
I don't think so.
There's an authority that's already been put together, correct?
I don't know, we'll find out. All of the townships and cities had to pass resolutions.
Yes.
All that documentation is done. The statutory requirement for publication has been done. So I honestly don't know if all of them have got that back yet.
Okay,
I think so, but I don't know.
okay, because you have one fund that's been created for that, and I
Right.
believe you have to put all those in one fund.
That's
You can't
fine.
have them sort of.
No,
And then-
I agree. That money will be sent to you for you to put into that.
Okay, so then are you gonna get with the city and check with them to see what they have and where
Right.
they're holding it? And then the other question I have is, the board, once the approval is done, are you making a motion that that money be transferred into that fund? And what line item would you like it transferred from?
Well, I think we got to resolve a couple things here first.
First, the
You-
motion. I want to understand the motion.
Right. And
Is it got the trailer on it? Okay, no trailer on
It's just to update the,
Update
County
the recreation,
recreation
county
program.
recreation plan, that's what we're
that's all
referring.
we're voting on.
His
Right.
motion was to support the revision of the recreation plan with a one-time donation of $5,000.
Right.
it. Okay, period.
Yep, period.
and then there was
And
a
I'll support
problem.
that.
But there's still these other issues that's concerning the other future contributions for Boys Hydro, for example. They've committed another $6,000 plus the Natural Resources Trust Fund, the MDOT contributions, and all the other entities that are involved in it are separate and distinct from what we're talking about right now.